What if all 8 original Gen 1 gym leaders were given their best team based off anime, manga, and gameplay? How different would they look from the originals, the teams they originally had? Well, that's what I hope to address here in part 1 of 2 of how different would the gym leaders of the Kanto region look. First would be Brock. Instead of his first Pokemon being Geodude, his first Pokemon would be Toxicrunk, followed by a Blissum. Next up, Fortress, followed by Crobat, Marshtomp, which he did catch and raise from a Medkip, and then finally Steelix, which we've seen him Mega Evolve against Ash. Next up is Misty. Her team looks slightly different than it would look in the original, just based off gameplay and stuff. Her first Pokemon, of course, everybody has to go with Psyduck. She brings him everywhere, even though sometimes he can get in a little bit of trouble. I think her next Pokemon is one that's not in the game, but is mostly close to Misty outside of Psyduck, and that's Godine. And then she caught and raised the Poliwhirl into Politoed, so of course she has to bring along Politoed. This is one of the few times I'm going to vary from anything. She had raised the Togepi into a Togechick and then released him, but I believe that eventually he would find his way back to Misty. And because he loved her so much, Togechick would evolve into Togekiss. So I believe she would have a Togekiss. Of course, next she would have to have her Starmie. And then finally, but last, her Gyarados, her ace Pokemon, that she not only has gotten over her fear of, but now can Mega Evolve. Next on the rotation is Lieutenant Surge. Yes, I know in the last season technically he'd stepped away, but we're going to keep it as Lieutenant Surge since he is the original gym leader. Based off what I can find out about Lieutenant Surge, his first Pokemon would probably be Electrode, followed by Electabuzz and Raichu and Magneton. And this is where it actually got a little interesting. He found 2 Pokemon I didn't expect Lieutenant Surge to have, but per Bulbasaur Garden from Pocket Monsters, there's 2 Pokemon that he has that surprised me, that I felt fit him perfectly based off what happened in the series. He has a Poliwhirl and a Kingler. Apparently Electro had done something on like a ship or so and hurt a lot of water Pokemon, and in that time Lieutenant Surge took care of them. But when they left off, Poliwhirl and Kingler stayed behind. There's even an episode where I believe it's a Clefairy or so he's laughing at with them in the picture. So even though they're not his normal electric type, those are his Pokemon. So I felt that that would be his best overall team to give him a little bit of a roundabout from just electrical. Now, again, it seems like all of his Pokemon are from the Kanto region. If I had to do one change, I'd probably give him like an Axel or something like that. That electric poison type would probably fit his vibe. And the last one I'm going to cover in this episode would be Erika. Now, Erika, of course, would have her normal Victory Bell and Vileplume per her normal Gen 1 stats. And that's where I think it will change. At this point, she'd had Tangela long enough that I think Tangela would evolve into Tangela Growth. And she'd also gone from just a Vileplume to a Blossom, as well as she had evolved her Execute into Executor, and she now has a Leafeon. And that is all in the anime, that she is either has these Pokemon, or I believe she would have evolved them at this point, leading up to what we know now. Alright, if you've liked at least part 1, why don't you stay around for part 2 and leave a like, subscribe, or a comment down below, and I'll see you next time.